Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Clemson. I'm Kathy Crain, a member of this fellowship since 1992 and currently on the board. I'm happy to be your service presenter today. The pandemic restrictions continue to require that UUFC's beautiful building remains closed. Hence, our time together can be viewed at your leisure. Social time is available through Zoom at 11:30 this morning, with the link available through last Thursday's emailed weekly connection. I hope this finds you well, living cautiously and reaching out to our community for any needs and joys that you might care to share. If you're visiting with us today, please take a look at the fellowship's website, found at uufc.org for more information, or call the church's office. We encourage visitors to consider involvement with our worship, our community, and our social time. Thank you to the friends who assisted with making this service happen. Elaine Faithful, Elaine Fredendahl for the hymn consultations and presentations, Petra Bauer for guidance with the production steps, and to Corey Dodgens for the lovely piano. And to the Son for his permission, for his collaboration, and for his postcard artwork that will be sprinkled throughout this service. This morning, I'm going to share a mother's story with you. This story begins in July 2018, about 2 years ago today. The mother had enjoyed a kayak journey along the Chattooga River. It was a gloriously beautiful summer day. The father was there too. But this is the mother's story. The mother helped to load the kayaks for transport home and checked the phone message. It was from the son. He had broken the law once again, a crime that hurt no one except himself and those he loved. He said that he was in jail. The mother had visited the newly created Legacy Museum in Montgomery, Alabama, a month earlier. This museum was created by the Equal Justice Initiative, which also developed the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, also known as the Lynching Museum. The Legacy Museum offers, among many other features of experience, a virtual display, allowing one to speak to a prisoner on the phone while viewing the animated prisoner through the glass. This was the mother's first time to feel what it must be like to talk with someone when visiting the jail. 2 months after visiting this museum, the mother picked up the phone receiver while holding her hands to the glass, and the son's hands touched the glass on the other side. This is a private story of the mother's, but if she's asked, she will share. And she has been asked. Mary Oliver had given instructions for living a life. Pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it. Today, we'll tell the mother's experiences. The son has given his permission and wishes all well. This is a 21-month incarceration journey with embedded meditations and words of hope. 3 Unitarian Universalist ministers were also along on this journey. So was the lawyer, who passed a hug from the son to the mother in the courtroom as the son sat with his feet shackled and a UU chalice cleverly drawn on the back of his orange jumpsuit. The mother had been given notice to be sure and take a look. She did. The UU minister from Abundant Love. UU's delight when love is spelled L-U-U-V. The minister from Abundant Love was sitting next to the mother in the courtroom, and he saw it too, the chalice. There would be additional stories of the son's methods of pushing the limits of the rules. This was, to the mother's knowledge, the first time that the son had broken a rule during his incarceration, 4 months at this point. That was how long it took his case to be seen by a judge in response to the son's admission of guilt. The mother researched how to provide support to a much-loved inmate and what could be sent through which methods. The son would have much time with nothing to do. She found out about recommended books for those in jail and had the novel Papillon by Henri Charrière sent to him. This began a series of books that the son would choose to read, mainly as a way to stay connected with his friends and loved ones. He read individually, and he initiated reflections through book chats with friends, his father, the mother, family, over the prison phone system. Many of the books were passed on to other inmates or to the prison library upon completing them. Remember rules? A prisoner can have too many books. There is a stated limit. Papillon started it all. The opening words come from Wendell Berry. It may be that when we no longer know which way to go, that we have come to our real journey. Please join me in lighting your chalice at home as I light the chalice here. The candle. We gather together in a spirit of love with justice as our guide. This is our chosen covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth with freedom, and to care for one another. The emailed weekly connection continues to provide joys and concerns that have been shared. Last Thursday's collection included, among others, continued appreciation for the partnership to help with the damage from Seneca's Easter tornado. That work continues. And speaking of kayaking, a monumental milestone has been reached, documented, and celebrated. Let's take a moment to pause for a breath as we reflect on celebrations and concerns for those we love, for our community, and for our world. May it be so. The Dalai Lama said, "Know the rules well so you can break them effectively." The son and the mother had frequent talks about rules. Many of the rules were maddening and made no sense. The mother and the son read that rules can have their own internal sense, although this is mostly due to the force of tradition and usage over time, not really logic, and they are always evolving, especially in jail. Another might point out that if you follow what makes sense for your given goals, it might not matter if the goals align with others or with society or anything. You do what makes sense in completing whatever it is you are doing, and you update your behavior based on new information. An example could be finding sense in following rules that harm others because you wish to get a paycheck that makes your life more comfortable. So then, while following the nonsense rule, you do so indirectly and keep your head down. You aren't directly following it because following the rules is right. From the outside, it would seem that following any and all rules that are posted in a jail is what is expected. The mother came to learn that this was not necessarily always so. The son stayed in the small county jail for about 2 months. Visiting hours were Sunday afternoons, 2:30 to 5 o'clock. The mother went often, hand up to the glass. Each visit ended with her tears and her sadness. The mother asked another visitor about this sadness as the two of them walked along the hallway, exiting together. "How do you deal with this sadness?" the mother asked. "You get used to it," was the visitor's response. And actually, she was a mother too, and had a young child with her who was also visiting their inmate. The son, of course, recognized the mother's challenge with no words spoken about this. During one visit, the son held up the phone to share with the second inmate so they could perform a poem created that week to self-made percussion noises. But then the son was moved to the big city's county jail, a huge county jail. No in-person visitations were allowed, but the mother could purchase video visitation periods, allowing for monitored video visits online with the son. As he sat in the day room with the other inmates of the same pod congregating in the background below the TV mounted high on the wall. Phone calls could also be purchased, but these could be initiated only by the son, as the budget allowed and as time was made available. And only pre-stamped postcards could be mailed. There could be no lipstick kisses or stickers of any kind. There could be no pictures on the postcard. The mother wondered what the staff thought of the designs that the son would create on the postcards he would send out. You were seeing a few of those that the son created displayed throughout this story. At the court date, 5 months after the incarceration first began, the son's sleep narcotic addiction, the source of his incarceration, was reviewed. The court provided choices for the son. He could be sent to prison for 6 months or wait the same amount of time for an available bed in a 9-month treatment facility for a total of 15 months. 6 months versus 15 months. Considering his professional future and his zone of comfort as a student of psychology and mental health, he chose to spend 3 times the amount of time incarcerated that he would have spent in prison. He chose his future instead of the easy way out. The son was very lucky in comparison with most of the inmates he observed in the way he was treated by the justice system. The son comments that the system's injustices begin only with the police and seem skewed against men who are Black. Prosecutors do not want to prosecute the police. The public defender system is systematically overworked, but are insidiously provoked to seek a settlement rather than take a case to trial. Public defenders don't have time to go to trial. In jail, the son became an avid reader. His contacts with the mother and with the few others on the outside who went through the process of being approved for contacts became what was the new normal for several months. The son transferred his practice of meditation to this environment, providing centering, reflection, and internal quiet. And he developed a system of exercise using water weights, which, when discovered by one of the jail sergeants, caused significant problems. Water weights were against the rules. The pending reprimand remained a constant panic with never any mention of resolution until teases began to appear, suggesting that the transfer to the treatment facility would indeed be happening. Mary Oliver wrote of a new voice, which you slowly recognized as your own, that kept you company as you strode deeper and deeper into the world, determined to do the only thing you could do, determined to save the only life you could save. But then it did happen, the reprimand. The son was assigned to the hole, where he would be unable to receive or initiate contact with the outside world. He could have his books and his writing tools. He could not have his commissary, the best and only way to receive food of taste when incarcerated. He was assigned to a small 8x14 cell for 22 to 24 hours each day. And the mother was surprised to learn that he had a cellmate who shared that space with him. The cellmate observed the son's meditation practice and asked to learn it. The son shared the practice with the cellmate. The mother read about surviving confinement. Maybe this can help some of you who may be feeling confined due to pandemic restrictions. Close your eyes. Imagine yourself hitting a tennis ball. Hit it again. Can you see yourself hitting the ball? Can you visualize its arc through the sky? Does it veer off course? And can you imagine yourself hitting it better next time? If so, you are using a technique that has helped many people survive prison. Summoning up mental imagery is a quasi-perceptual experience, according to the concise Corsini Encyclopedia in Behavioral Sciences. It stimulates the brain's frontal lobe, which is associated with higher cognitive processes and abstract thought, as well as perception and motor control. That can make it feel real. Mental imagery can supplement perceptual input, but it can be equally useful when perceptual input is painful, tedious, or lacking. A prisoner can use mental imagery to create the space and time that confinement strips away. The mother read of a Texas prisoner who spent 7 years in near total isolation. The prisoner used to kill time for hours, working out detailed visualizations of himself in a vivid alternate reality, where he could inhabit open spaces and converse with people. He would imagine, for example, being at a park and coming upon a person sitting on a bench. The person would ask the person if she or he minded if he sat down and say something like, "Great weather today." The other person would say something like, "It is indeed. I hope it lasts until The prisoner would follow up with another comment while watching the joggers, the bicyclists, the skateboarders pass by. The conversation might go on for half an hour or so. When the prisoner then opened his eyes and stood, he would feel refreshed and even invigorated. But uncontrolled and intentional imagination can lead to very different outcomes and even activate different parts of the brain. Which kind of imagination is activated comes down simply to character. Meditation partners well with this. The son's cellmate seemed to benefit from the meditation lessons. The cellmate sent a postcard to the mother, addressed to Sensei's mother. She wrote a postcard back to him with the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. This man remains in jail and will be for a long, long time. The son became involved in the prisoners' rights movement, a choice which brought him purpose as well as more unwanted attention from the jail's disciplinary staff. Mother Teresa said, "The fruit of prayer is faith. The fruit of faith is love. The fruit of love is service. The fruit of service is peace." Announcements. Zoom time is at 11:30 today for social hour. The link was in the weekly connection. Bingo on Thursdays at 6:30. That link is also in the weekly connection. Have fun with Karen. The donate button on the website is so colorful. This allows us to pay our pledge. It allows visitors to make donations, and it allows us to choose the drop down. All of those are in the drop down to choose to support the benevolence of the month, which this month is Clemson Community Care. Please read the weekly connection. Please stay connected with our community. Thank you. The Dalai Lama said, "Hard times build determination and inner strength." After 7 months in the city's big, huge county jail, with no contact with the outdoors, no opportunity for fresh air, the son was finally transferred to the treatment facility for the 9-month required program. The mother received a letter from the son describing the facility's courteous staff and the noticeable change in racial ratio of inmates. This treatment facility seemed to exemplify how our country criminalizes addiction. Here, there were significantly more white inmates than black. At the city's big, huge county jail, most of the inmates were black. Have you noticed in your readings that many lawbreakers who are white are often thought of as addicts, while many lawbreakers who are black are thought of as criminals? At the treatment facility, the son was being groomed for a clerical job and learned that the inmates had outside time, 45 minutes daily, almost. He wrote about experiencing a leaf that blew into the facility's yard during the outside time. A single leaf, a glimpse into the natural world that exists beyond the razor wire fence. It was now June 2019. Meetings with specially trained staff to address mental health concerns were scheduled. Visitations could happen on weekends and state holidays, allowing for the mother to sit across the table from and in the same room with the son, along with other inmates and their visitors, while all were supervised by a prison guard. The mother was surprised that the superintendent of the facility agreed to meet with her. He was a Christian Marine who was pleasant and a seemingly open-minded man. The superintendent's mantra was mind, body, spirit. And the son seemed to respond to his guidance and leadership. The superintendent arranged for the son to create some art logos on the facility's walls and allowed for the use of the facility's barber shop on Friday afternoons to conduct meditation sessions with other interested inmates. Some requested guidance for this meditation group was shared with the mother by her mindfulness-based counselor friend, which was then sent to the son and provided to the superintendent. Remember love, spelled L-U-U-V? The abundant love minister actually made the 200-mile one-way trip a couple of times to visit with the son. The Clemson UU minister met often with the mother to counsel, reflect, to discuss loneliness, hold on to hope, and to hold on to each other. The Charlotte UU minister readily accepted phone calls from the son. Things seemed comparatively good. The Buddha said, our life is shaped by our mind, for we become what we think. Then the good superintendent was transferred and the remaining few months of incarceration seemed devoid of effective therapy, care, and or reason. Prescribed sleep medication was administered by the nurse at 5 p.m. when the nurse's shift ended, and the medication was expected to be taken at 5 p.m. Throughout all of these challenges, somehow the son could provide effective nurturing to his hurting community, to his hurting mother on the outside. How could he do that? The mother was so very proud and yet so very scared. For no particular cause, the son's sentence was shortened by a month, and soon it was time for release. These were tense days of confusion and mixed messages about what would happen next. Another mishandling of rules added to the anticipation of whether the program could be considered a success for the son. A radio interview with the Jesuit friar, Greg Boyle, was immensely helpful to the mother at this increasingly anxious time. Friar Boyle's mantra is, now hear this. Now hear, H-E-R-E, this. Seems pretty simple and brilliant to allow being present and available to the person right in front of you. He speaks of a circle of compassion, imagining nobody standing outside that circle, allowing an otherness so that we can dedicate our lives to a union with each other. He spoke about a God who is too busy loving us to be disappointed in us, who tells us from the pulpit, saying it is the truest thing you can say about God. May it be so. Finally, after 21 months of incarceration in the 2 different jails and 1 prison rehab facility, the son was finally released. The mother and the father picked him up and took him to the city where he would begin his life in the free world once again. There is immense gratitude for the support from friends and family, writing so many cards and letters. Another friend providing a warm and loving home for the son's dog. A family member going through the interminable process so that she could visit the son in jail with the mother. Now, the son's will is determined. His community is vibrant. His love for his mother and for his father remains strong. The son was free for about a month. Then COVID-19 put restrictions on life, work, and interactions. It is what it is. Martin Luther King said we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. The son was luckier than most of the inmates he encountered. He spoke with his community weekly and had visits, while most inmates had no contact from the outside at all. The Church of the Larger Fellowship is a UU congregation without walls. I should have done that. A congregation without walls that hosts prison ministry network. The mother has signed up for its letter writing ministry. You can too. Pen pal matches are generally made quarterly in February, May, August, and November. You can access the application and other ways of considering involvement here. Friar Boyle ended the radio interview mentioned earlier by reading a poem by 14th century Persian poet Hafiz, which he had put in his book to remind all that we have always been this way as human beings. Admit something. Everyone you see, you say to them, "Love me." Of course, you do not do this out loud. Otherwise, someone would call the cops. Still, though, think about this great pull in us to be connected. Why not become the one who lives with a full moon in each eye, that is always saying, with that sweet moon language, what every other eye in this world is dying to hear? Thank you for your interest in this story. Go in peace, believe in peace, create peace.